Do us a favor, for those who are kind of new to Thomas and metaphysics, could we just discuss sort of Thomistic metaphysics in a couple of minutes? Just to kind of give people a basic lay of the land, maybe a few explanations of some of the terms we'll be using today.
Yeah, sure. So one of the things that I think is central to, well, metaphysics, first of all, let's say, is the study of being, right? The study of being as being. We get that idea from Aristotle, or that formulation from Aristotle, and St. Thomas takes it over. And so Thomas says you have what he calls ens, which is a being, and everything that exists is an ens. It's some kind of being, and every ens, every being, is structured in such a way that it has an essence, right, and an act of existence. And the Latin is essentia, and the act of existence in Latin is esse.
Okay.
So every being has an essence, and that by which it exists, which St. Thomas calls esse, or we translate as being or existence or active existence. And some beings are what he calls substances. Some are accidents of substances. Now, a substance is a being that has, so to speak, existence in itself. It's not simply a part of another being. Whereas an accident is a being that is always a part or inheres in some other being. It doesn't have existence in itself. It only exists as a part or an aspect of some being or of a substance. And so for example, you and I are both substances, right? We're not simply parts or aspects of other beings. We have, to a certain extent, existence in ourselves. But then we have different features that only exist as aspects of us, such as our height, our weight, our hair color, and so on, right? These things don't exist on their own somewhere. They only exist as aspects of us or parts of us. So every being is either a substance or an accident. And then every being is composed, as Thomas says, of essence and existence, or it's a essence and act of existence. Now, every created being, he tells us, is such that its existence doesn't belong to its nature. Its existence is something that's given to it, right? And so you and I and everything else in this room are like that. Our existence is something that's really distinct from our essence.
Okay.
So we don't exist just because it's natural for us to exist.
Right.
We exist because existence has been given to us.
Yeah.
And
so your existence isn't in the definition of your essence.
Right, exactly.
Like a three-sided shape or triangle, however you define that. But
exactly. So we could say we're rational animals. Existence is not part of that definition. You can understand what a human being is without understanding that this human being actually exists, right? So existence, in a way, comes to us from the outside, or it comes outside of our essence, right, as a gift.
Yeah.
And so that's true for every creature. Where does it come from? St. Thomas says, of course, it ultimately comes from God. That's what it means to create. It means to give existence to beings entirely, give existence entirely to beings. That's what creation is, and that's why we're creatures. So those are some basic concepts in St. Thomas's metaphysics.
So a unicorn has an essence, but not an existence.
As far as
we know, there might be something on another planet that resembles that.
Although, can I say it? There is something. Okay.
Yeah, I think I might know what you're going to say.
I don't know. Maybe you do.
Let's see.
I always used to use the unicorn as an example of a mythical creature in my classes when we talk about essence and existence. And then I came across this news story several years ago about the Siberian unicorn.
Okay.
And it was okay, we're kind of going off.
No, this is good. That's what it's all about. And then you started using mermaids as an example.
Right, exactly. So I said, I can't use unicorn anymore because there was now. The further I read the story, it said, well, it kind of looked more like a rhinoceros. I thought, oh, all right, well. But anyways, yes, the point is...
Tyrannosaurus Rex
right.
has essence, or it is something
right.
that doesn't exist.
Right, but it doesn't exist. Yeah. So,
okay.
Leprechauns, not to offend any of the Irish, but, don't have essay, don't have existence. But we can recognize what kind of thing that they are.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you say to those who might say, all there is accidents? So if I take an apple, there are certain qualities about this apple. Its roundness, its redness, its sweetness, its firmness. But if you were to take away all those accidents, you don't have anything that exists anymore.
Yeah.
So why not just say everything is only accidents?
Right. Well, because those accidents, if we really mean accidents, then there's something that they are the accidents of. Like, what is it that's round? What is it that's sweet? And so on.
Yeah.
Right. And so we all recognize that sort of intuitively, sort of commonsensically. So that's one of the things that I would say that we all recognize, but we never quite formulate it to ourselves that there are such things as substance and accidents. And then we read Aristotle or we read Aquinas and we say, okay, yeah, that makes sense. That is how the world is structured, right? But right, so nothing is just accidents. It's there. We recognize that it's something that is...
And substance, etymologically, doesn't that mean under? Like it stands
right,
under?
Stands under, right. So that's one way to
yeah.
understand substance is that it is, so to speak, what underlies the accidents, right? So it's the subject of the accidents, right? The accidents are, in that respect, sort of predicates of it.
Okay. Any other terms we need to know before we start digging into these?
Yes.
Let's talk about causality.
Yeah, causality, right. So following Aristotle, St. Thomas will distinguish 4 different kinds of causes. There is he starts off with a formal cause and material cause. The material cause of a thing, of a being, of a substance, is what is the stuff that it's made out of, so to speak, right? So these mugs here are ceramic. That's their matter or material cause. The form, then, there are different ways to understand form. Very primitive, basic ways to say, well, it's kind of the shape that the matter is in, right? So we have the ceramic, the clay that the mug is made out of, which is the matter, and then we have the shape, which we could call its form. But there are other ways to understand form that are related to it. You could say it's the structuring principle of the matter. It's what determines that the matter is this kind of thing rather than that kind of thing, right? So that would be form. Then we have what is called the efficient cause. The efficient cause would be that which brings, if we stick with the example of the mug, it's the person who made the mug.
This is usually what we mean by cause in modern English.
So when we speak about cause, we usually mean what St. Thomas or Aristotle would. Well, Aristotle calls it the moving cause. Thomas calls it the efficient cause. Oh. Right. That's what we usually mean when we talk about cause in our modern languages. So it's the cause that brings something into existence, either relatively in a relative way or an absolute way, right? So the guy, the person that made this, took some clay and fashioned it into a mug. So he is the efficient cause. He didn't absolutely bring it into being. There was something that already existed that he fashioned into a mug, but he's still, in that respect, the efficient cause. Then the final cause is the purpose or the goal, right? So the final cause of this cup is to hold something to drink, right? Or your spare change or whatever.
Yeah.
So that would be the final cause. And what they all, I would say, what causes all have in common, the cause of something is that upon which it depends in some respect. St. Thomas says this in the De Potentia. He says that a cause is that upon which something depends. So we could go through that whole analysis again and talk about how this cup depends for what it is on its form and its matter. Mm-hmm. It depends for its existence on its efficient cause. It depends on its final cause for, in a way, that's what guides us to when we're making a cup or a table or whatever. Yeah. Its form depends on the final cause, what the purpose is. Yeah.
So kind of four explanations, like four. It's almost like, I find if you just say like, there's like four. If you say, what's the point of this, or what is this? Explain this to me. There's like four different ways you could do that.
Right. Right. Exactly. Yeah. So it's four different ways that we can explain a thing, but it's important to see that they really are. They're explanations, but they really do belong to the thing that we're talking about. Okay. Right. So the form is really there. It's a real principle. The matter and so on are real principles of it.
Okay.
So I think that one more thing about causality, I would say, is what came to be called the principle of causality. And that is simply the idea, and it especially pertains to the efficient cause, that nothing can give what it doesn't have. Okay. Right? So a cause can only be a cause of a certain effect if it has what it takes to bring about that effect. Mm-hmm. So it has just enough reality to produce it, or it has more than enough reality to produce it. So I couldn't make a cup if I don't know how to make a cup, mm-hmm. right? And I could not only be able to make cups, but all kinds of things with clay. So I would have more than what's required to make a cup. So the cause, the efficient cause, in order to bring about the effect, has to have reality that's sufficient to bring about that effect. So you can't get something higher from something lower, so to speak, which is then some people, when they talk about evolution, want to say that it's a refutation of the principle of causality. But that's another
episode.
Yeah.
If you like that clip, be sure to like and subscribe. Cheers.